Hey there, YouTube friends. Welcome back to Planet Coaster 2, where today we are building a bit of a franchise. We are going to be building Brobacue, a franchise from our Planet Coaster 1 days, and we're going to be doing it 3 ways. A sit-down restaurant, a QSR, and even a little cart. So if you're excited to see that, stick around. I am maskedbandit, and I am so glad you are here today. Let's get going with some time-lapse today. So first thing we're going to get started on is the restaurant. I am loving the sit-down restaurant in Planet Coaster 2. I know if you've played Zoo, it's been around for a while, but I kind of ducked out of Planet Zoo by the time we got the restaurants and the gift shops and all that stuff. So to have this available in Planet Coaster 2 is just fantastic. So we are inspired today by a bit of a Google search. I did a quick search for barbecue restaurant interior, found a picture that I liked, and used some of the color palette and some of the material palette as inspiration, as well as this bar area. So the restaurant portion here, the functional restaurant part, is directly inspired by some images I found online. It just fit way too perfectly. So yeah, that's what we are doing. I really like the dark bricks behind the barbecue here, behind the service counter. I think that's really neat. And then there's this whole just overhang that's really nice, adding some details. It was interesting. I found some really discrepancies between either barbecue is really rustic, rundown, yeehaw, long tables, folding chairs, or it's like ridiculously elegant, like bougie barbecue. And I think Brobacue leans a little bit more towards the hopefully the less bougie. That being said, I did want to have a bit of a modern twist on it, and so the exterior has some angles and stuff that kind of give me some modern flair, some modern vibe with not so modern materials, lots of wood, lots of stone, things like that. But yeah, we're going to be doing this 3 different ways. The Brobacue sign is going to show up in 2 of the 3. That sign is a bunch of art shapes. I went into my photo editing software and just threw down a giant sign of Brobacue, and then I took the art shapes and scaled them down to be able to make that piece so that it is not reliant on a billboard. That being said, we are going to be using a billboard in this that will not be included on the workshop because as part of, first of all, I don't think you can even do that on a workshop item, but also because you can find or make your own menu for this. I just kind of put in as a placeholder for this build, found a random barbecue menu online and was able to install it. But as far as what's going to go on with everything else, this sign is not a billboard. And all 3 of the Brobacues that we build today will be available on the workshop for you to enjoy. I'll put the codes, the links to them, and I would love to see them in your projects. If you're on BroNation or wherever you are at, if you are sharing, would love to see that. So yeah, very excited to see what y'all will come up with. So I did want to take a minute to kind of talk about where I'm at in my Planet Coaster 2 playing as of right now. I mentioned it in the Update 5 video. Starting to get the mojo back a little bit, being inspired here. I've kind of went back and watched some of the SpongeBob episodes. I scrubbed through my own content, which is always kind of weird, but I did nonetheless. And I am looking at doing another SpongeBob episode soon, so if you're excited for that, hopefully in the next couple weeks you'll see one of those. I am planning a highly themed park with a friend of mine that may or may not come to fruition, and of course we still do have our beginner heights, which is definitely something I do wish to continue. Those videos just take a long time and I have to be in the right mindset for them. But all that being said, it's very exciting to see how Frontier has been handling their updates. I know some people are upset at how Planet Coaster 2 rolled out and what it does and doesn't do as of right now, and I can understand those frustrations, but I am very much excited that Frontier has done, up to this point, a very good job being open and transparent about what's coming in updates, as well as maintaining their timeline and adhering to and sticking to their timeline. I was talking with a friend of mine, and we've both been very excited for 3 games. We were both very excited for City Skylines 2, Planet Coaster 2, and Civ 7, and it feels like all 3 of those games have suffered from really rough launches. And honestly, of the three, I would argue that Planet Coaster 2 might just be in the best space right now, as far as in its development cycle and as far as keeping and growing the fan base, especially City Skylines 2. I've never seen. It's incredible to me how quickly they burned through all that goodwill they built. It's really a sad situation, and that game is just frustrating right now. But that is all kind of a roundabout way to bring up some of the things that are going on with Planet Coaster 2. I was watching Nerd Chacho last week, or his most recent update in Fuzztastica, and I felt really bad that he had to work so hard to get the park to function, to get those peeps to function. And he had to, like, they were ignoring a lot of his shops and vendors, which was really frustrating. So as I'm building this, I'm thinking, are the guests even going to use this stuff? I'm not 100% certain. I do hope so. I really hope so. But it's frustrating that while Frontier is doing a good job bringing us up to speed, the fact that they have to work so hard to get us to a point of playability, and in some regards, there's still so much work to do, is kind of frustrating. The thing that made Planet Coaster, the first game, so fun was the quirky charm, and that, I think, really came from the guests, just the way the guests moved around and interacted, and it wasn't perfect, but there was charm and there was life, and I do not get that from these peeps yet, just the way they're coded and the way they behave and what they choose to do and what they choose to ignore. I mean, they're still not using my lazy rivers. They're not buying anything. They're not, I mean, they don't go to my counter service, my counters. It's really frustrating. And to hear Nerd Chacho have those same frustrations, it was a little better. I felt a little better about it. But overall, I just, it's frustrating, isn't it? How are you feeling about the state of Planet Coaster? Like, I don't want it to be misconstrued that I'm upset or I'm angry at Frontier. I am grateful that they are continuing to develop it, and they're doing a good job. But I'm frustrated that they put themselves so far behind the 8-ball that even though they are making very large steps towards making good on all their promises, they have to work this hard just to get it to where it probably should have been. What are your thoughts? Are you happy with the state of the game? Do you even use the game as a game? I don't use the game as a game. As we finish our restaurant here, here's a look at it all done. I know the time lapse was kind of all over the place, but I just kind of wanted to highlight the best parts. Here's a little look at that interior with the billboarded menu that will not be included, but everything else will be. But anyway, are you enjoying the game as a game? Are you enjoying it more as a tool? I think most of us, at least people that are watching me, tend to work more in that sandbox space. So I didn't even realize how bad the peep behavior was in this game until I let peeps in to Bikini Bottom after the most recent update, and I was like, this is it. They're getting stuck, they're getting lost, they're just randomly standing there. I think Frontier really needs to pay attention to that, and I hope they can make some necessary changes. They keep saying on every update guest behavior is improved, so we'll just have to wait and see, I guess. I'm willing to wait longer because, like I said, I'm very excited for what they're going to be bringing in the next update with the photos and with the gift shops. Very, very pumped for that. And I just hope they keep making those changes so that the guests continue to improve their guest behaviors. Here we are, to get back on what we're actually doing. Here we are taking the some of the architectural notes of the restaurant, and now we're going to be pulling it into a quick service restaurant. So the sit-down place might be an anchor for a major part of the park, or perhaps even outside of the park. Maybe this is a franchise that is outside the park, and now this is the theme park variant. I went ahead and I built a little smoker here, modeled it after like an industrial-sized smoker. That's pretty small, though, all things considered, when you see some of them in restaurants, but I think it's cute. I'm really happy with it. This is also going to go on the workshop, so if you want to have a smoker, you are more than welcome to download it. We are making some modifications here because I do feel like this would be better built into the shop with, like, ventilation and things like that to keep it from getting super smoky in there as we add this chimney. But I'm very pleased with how this looks, as you can see, as I am directly ripping pieces of the building off. One of the fun challenges to this little idea here was to try and make the each stall unique, yet maintain the iconography of the franchise, which was really a fun challenge. So for me, that meant a lot of similar materials colored the same way, and obviously some of the, like that little flame sign is so good. I love it. So including that, using the same materials, and even echoing a bit of the architecture of the restaurant here with the QSR, with the slanted roof and the tower specifically. I thought those were two ways that really made sense. And we're using that amazing kitchen workshop piece here, which I will throw the creator and the share code on the screen. And it's right there. You can download that. I have highlighted it in a Bikini Bottom episode as well. As far as other workshop items, there's a rocking chair that'll come in later. And I think you found a napkin stand. And as I use them in the video, or as we are building the part that uses them, I will be sure to share the codes with you as well. Taking advantage of the Planet Coaster flooring here, not something I've really done, but it worked really well because this building is predominantly built on the grid, so it really was easy, and it looked pretty good, so I went with it. We are deconstructing a piece of wall there because it bleeds through, so technically that's not part of the same stall, but you know, it will just have to do. Making good use of the update to the lighting so that you can keep the lighting on 24/7. I'm very pleased that they added this feature just to make sure that our interiors can be adequately brightened even during the day, because one of the things is it can get very dark on the interior if you cover it up, if you don't have any lights going on in there. So to have more options for what kind of lights will actually help during the day is very much appreciated. And again, going back to like, that just should have been a thing. I'm glad it is now. But did it really need to wait 6 months, 7 months? Like, we really need to wait. That couldn't have been an at-launch thing. That's one of the big frustrations again. See, I'm all positive and I come swinging right back to being frustrated. That is one of the big frustrations, is both Planet Coaster and Planet Zoo had all of these like training wheels, bumpers. And little by little, the community said, please get rid of these, please get rid of these, please get rid of these. And eventually, it was the game we were all hoping it was going to be. So I guess we have to assume it's going to happen again. But wouldn't it have been nice? Third time the charm. They realized that the people who play these games, well, granted, maybe not most of us, but a lot of people who play these games want that unlimited creative freedom. That being said, if you're watching a YouTube video of this video game, you're probably in the minority. And then if you're one creating the video, you're probably even more in the minority. So, but you know, at the end of the day, we are the ones that continue to play this game. So we are adding a smoker on the outside and using one of our little cowboys here that came with the Western update. And I love the nonchalance of that cowboy. We are giving him some dark red to match employee uniform, and he's wearing some blue jeans. You know, he's a cowboy. Cowboys wear blue jeans. Here we are setting it up to be a workshop item, and just making sure everything is all on the up and up. I actually end up removing the drink there. I remove that so that I can go ahead and throw a menu up there. So again, there will be room for you to add your own menu. And let's take a look at what this looks like fully completed as we transition. And there's a look at the Barbecue QSR. I can see this being in a theme park in a Western area. Hopefully you will be inclined to use it. I think it turned out really, really well. And then the last one was probably the easiest of the three, because by this point I had already known what my style was going to be, and it was time to bust out the cart. I took the TFB, the Tiny Frozen Balls cart that I made back on launch, and I stripped it of all its bits, so we had just this, and now I am basically reskinning this little cart, which I think is a perfect way to reuse something. So anytime I do one of these carts, you can expect it to be this base model, unless it just wouldn't make any sense. And then we can go from there. So like I said, we are just making this feel a little more rustic and a little more Western. The TFB is a very clean cart, very white, very Dippin' Dots inspired. So using some of these new sci-fi pieces, well, not new, but using these awesome great pieces, these metal grate, I love that piece. Darkening everything up, that looks like it should sell some barbecue, huh? And then we are going to, again, try to, for the cart, the only way to really tie it in to the two that came before it, because there's not enough room for those architectural details, was really in the finishing touches. Very much in what sort of details we added at the end. So like the canopy there is, I'm pretty sure we used the corrugated roof piece there. So to use it here ties in. We're going to throw some ropes, because I don't know if you've noticed, but both buildings have that coiled rope on it. These were the little ways to make it all feel cohesive and like a singular unit. However, the idea of a barbecue cart, kind of, I don't know if I've ever seen that. Wasn't quite sure how it would work. I would assume there'd be a steamer trays. So I threw a smoker. I'm like, maybe he's cooking it up fresh. I don't know. Or maybe that's a modified, it's like a steamer cart that looks like a smoker. I'm not 100% sure, but I figured they would need a hot box. So we're going to use those kitchen pieces again. And that's going to be a hot box, a warming box for like you make your barbecue and then it sits in the warmer. We're going to have some condiments, and we're going to have some cool stuff like that. And I decided to make a sign here. Like, I don't know, this took way more time than I ever anticipated. But yeah, I think it turned out really good. This is supposed to be chalkboard paint, so like, that's what that's supposed to represent. And hey, always flip your signs, flip things around. One of the biggest things you can do to diversify your pieces is to turn them around, see what the back of them look like. And it might be plain like that. Like, I didn't want the little symbols, so I was very nice to see that it was just plain on the back. So we are creating a menu. It is a bit smaller because it is just a cart. You'd have to go to one of the other two to get all of the offerings. So you'll see there is no pulled pork here, no chicken here. All that would probably be in the restaurant. But yeah, I think this is super cute. I think it fits the other two, and I think it's realistic in its scope. I think it turned out really, really well. There we are. I know it's a fridge, but we're gonna call it a warming box. And there is a rocking chair there, like I said, so I'll throw that code up on the screen if you want to download a rocking chair. And once the condiments come out, I did find a napkin, dispenser. One of the things at Bronation, one of my buddies, Joshua, made for me is some condiment bottles, some squeeze bottles that would theoretically have barbecue sauce in them. So you'll see that sprinkled around the build as well. Like there's barbecue sauce on all the picnic tables in the restaurant, and on the condiment cart you're going to see the bottles of sauce and things like that. That little cowboy shows up in all three variants, so another way to tie them all together. And here is the finished look. And that brings us to the end of today's episode. I hope you enjoyed this kind of old school time-lapsey thing. If you did, hit the like button, and I'll see all of you for the next Planet Coaster 2 content. Take care. Bye-bye.